guys, it's Tahira, and today I'm doing a summer book recommendations video. I haven't done one of these in a very long time, so I decided to do one for the summer season because summer is usually a time when I personally like to read a lot of light contemporary summery reads, I guess. So I'm just gonna be recommending some of those types of books to you guys, and hopefully if you think any of these sound interesting, you'll pick them up. But anyway, yeah, let's just go ahead and start. So the first book that I'm going to be recommending that's on my list is Felix Ever After by Kaysen Callender. So Felix Ever After follows our main character Felix Love, who is a high school student, and he is black, queer, and transgender. He feels like he's too marginalized to ever get his own happily ever after, and he really wants to feel that experience of love. And then he starts getting super transphobic messages from an anonymous student, and he tries to figure out who's doing this as well as go through his own self-identity journey. I love this book so much. I give this 4.5 to 5 stars, and obviously I like it, otherwise I wouldn't be recommending it. First of all, this is a book about a transgender boy, which is, I feel like, something that I personally haven't seen a ton of in YA literature. Or maybe I just haven't read a bunch of it, but this is actually one of the first books I've ever read that features a transgender main character. I think this book deals really well with the issues that it presents, I guess, in this book, and I also think that Felix's journey into figuring out who he is and I guess some parts of his gender identity was also really interesting to read. I think because I've read a lot of books, LGBT books that fall under the category of people questioning their sexuality, but I haven't seen a ton of books that deal with someone figuring out and dealing with their gender, and that's also one of the really big reasons that I love this book. One of the biggest things I also really love about this book is Felix's friendship with his best friend Ezra. I feel like that friendship is unlike anything I've seen. They're so close. They literally tell each other everything, and just how intimate they are with each other as friends. Well, I guess that kind of changes later on, but as friends for a majority of the book is just something so different from what I've seen usually. But yeah, if you're looking for a contemporary novel that follows a diverse main character and talks a lot about important issues but also has a fun, I guess, romance aspect to it, I would definitely recommend this one. The next 3 books I'm recommending is a kind of trilogy, and these books have been getting really popular over the past few years, and that is the Brown Sisters trilogy by Talia Hibbert, which has Get a Life Chloe Brown, Take a Hint Danny Brown, and Act Your Age Eve Brown. So I actually finished this trilogy fairly recently. I read the last book, I think a couple weeks ago, and I really love this series. They're all romance books, and romance is a category or genre that I typically don't reach for, so it was kind of my first entrance into that genre. And one of the main things I also love about this trilogy is that it deals with plus size main characters, and that is seen in such a positive light, and I really love that. Majority of the books that I read that deal with plus size main characters, some part of the story revolves around their weight and them being overweight, but in this book it's just another, I guess, attribute about them. It isn't really discussed much, it's not really something that they dwell too much upon, and the love interests never bring up how big or what their body type is which I really love. These works truly just celebrate each of the sisters' bodies, and I really think that's important because that's not seen a lot in books. Other than that, I think these are super cute books, and they all fall into their separate tropes. This one is the fake dating trope, which is obviously amazing, and then this one is enemies to lovers. So yeah, they do all fall into these tropes, I guess, but they're still amazing. My favorite of this trilogy is actually the middle one, which is Take a Hint Danny Brown. For some reason I just enjoyed that so much more than the other 2 books. So yeah, these are definitely light fun reads, so if you're looking for something like that, I highly recommend these books. The next 3 books are actually also part of the same trilogy, and these are actually graphic novels, and this is the Heartstoppers series by Alice Oseman. So this series follows 2 main characters, Nick and Charlie, and they both meet each other at school, and they start out their friendship, but then that friendship turns into something super cute. I would recommend this book as something that's purely fluff and for enjoyment. They're super fast because obviously they're graphic novels, so it really shouldn't take that long to read them. And since it is a graphic novel, there's not a ton of super intense or deep plot, and it mainly just focuses on the 2 characters. I don't know, I've seen that as criticism for these books, that there's not enough plot and there's not enough conflict in these books, because it is mainly focusing on I guess their friendship growing into a relationship, and there's not like a ton of roadblocks that they see in their journey, I guess. So a lot of people find that as a negative aspect, but honestly I think that these are just super cute. Like sometimes I just like to see characters happy and doing things that they like, and this is what these books are. So yeah, these books I definitely recommend for the summertime because they're super light, quick, and fun. And I think the 4th book actually just came out. I don't know if that's the last one, but if it is, I think it's the perfect time to pick up the series. Then I have a book that I actually don't physically own because I got it from the library a while ago, and that is Cemetery Boys by Aiden Thomas. This book is I guess kind of magical realism, like urban fantasy story following this boy named Yadriel, who is also a transgender boy, and his Latinx family doesn't really accept him as that, and he wants to prove himself that he's a brujo. In order to do that, he wants to perform a ritual with his dead cousin's ghost, but he accidentally summons his school's bad boy named Julian, and they both obviously get to know each other, and they have a whole thing too as well. This one I think is literally so cute and adorable. Like the cute moments that they have, they're just literally the sweetest things ever. And I think that this book also does talk about a lot of heavy topics, but I think that the book also balances it really well with like lighthearted conversations and scenes and dark scenes as well. This is just another fun book where you kind of just fall in love with the characters and fall in love with the relationship. It's just an overall very enjoyable read. I also love how accepting Julian is. He accepts Yadriel wholeheartedly for who he is, and he supports him no matter what. It's just, they're just so adorable. But yeah, I definitely recommend Cemetery Boys. The next book I have is actually a book that's been out for a few years, but I haven't heard a ton of people talk about it. But it recently got a TV show, and that is Moxie by Jennifer Matu. So this book follows a high school girl named Vivian Carter who is fed up with her school's kind of putting boys on a pedestal above girls. She's fed up with the harassment and the sexist dress codes, and she wants to do something about it. And her Anyway, her mom was actually a part of this like girls feminist group called Riot Girls in the 90s, and Vivian kind of wants to replicate that, so she creates a feminist zine or zine. It's like a mini magazine, and she starts distributing it around school, and she's kind of just blowing off steam. She doesn't really think a lot's gonna happen with it, but then girls start responding to this zine, and basically the story is about like standing up against like sexist policies and rules and just general societal rules I guess girls have to follow. It's a very fun read. I really loved it, this one, and it's been a while since I've read it, but I remember just really liking it. And also, as I said, this book actually just got a TV show on Netflix, which I haven't seen yet, but I really want to soon. And this book has been published for a few years now. It's published in 2017, so it's not like a new release or anything, but I personally just haven't seen a ton of people talk about it, and I just think a lot more people should read it. Then I have another, I guess, it's not a book series, it's more of an author, and it's not underrated or anything. A lot of people know about it, but if you haven't heard of this author, you should definitely pick up these books. But these are Morgan Matson's books. The ones I physically own are Since You've Been Gone and The Unexpected Everything, but Morgan Matson does have several other books. Morgan Matson's books are literally the definition of a summer book because they all take place during the summer, and you can kind of tell by the covers as well. But yeah, Morgan Matson's books all take place during the summer, and they all follow a girl in some, I guess, summer fling romance and just some situation that this girl is in, but they're all super fun. And I don't know, I'm probably not going to talk too much about these because a lot of people already know them, but if you haven't read them, I highly recommend picking them up because they're not like amazing books, but they're just light books and fun books that you can pick up if you want a quick read. The next book I have is With the Fire on High by Elizabeth Acevedo. Elizabeth Acevedo in general is a very popular author that has been known for her books for the past couple of years now. Her most popular book is The Poet X, which I actually haven't read yet, and her other most recent book I think is Clap When You Land, which is also really good. I have Clap When You Land right here, but it's not on this list. And it's not like that book isn't good. That one just is a little darker than With the Fire on High, so I decided to put this one on the list. So this book follows a high school student named Imoni Santiago, who is a teen mother, and she has been kind of going through life trying to deal with being a teen mother and taking care of her daughter as well as her abuela. But the one place that she can truly be herself is the kitchen because she loves cooking. One of the reasons I actually really love this book is because I've never really seen cooking as a hobby in a lot of books, so it was really interesting to see that in this book. I really loved this book because it deals with a lot of, I guess, themes surrounding general crises that teens typically have, like what to do with your life, what do you want to be, what do you want to do, and I can relate to that. And it was especially relatable when I read this because I was a high school student, and so I was like around the same age as her. So yeah, this one is a fun book as well, and I think that you should definitely pick up this one as well as Elizabeth Acevedo's other books because I've heard really high reviews for all of them. And the last book that I'm going to be talking about in this video is Frankly in Love by David Yoon. This book follows Frankly, who is a high school student, and he is kind of straddling two cultures because he is Korean and also American, and his parents want him to date a nice Korean girl, but instead he falls for this white American girl named Brit. Then he knows that his parents would not approve of his relationship, so he kind of keeps this relationship hidden. But then he makes a deal with his longtime friend Joy Song because she's in a similar situation to him. She has a Chinese boyfriend that her parents wouldn't approve of because she's also Korean and they want her to date a Korean boy. So Frank Lee and Joy Song, they kind of start this fake dating thing to kind of keep their parents happy, but behind the scenes they're like each individually dating their own people. But then obviously Joy and Frank, as they go on like fake dates, they start developing feelings for each other. I personally give this book 3.5 stars actually, so it's not like I didn't love this book, but it's just wasn't like a favorite of mine and it wasn't amazing. But it's not like it's so bad that I wouldn't recommend it because it does, I think that it has a lot of like relatable conversations, such as like what it really means to be the child of immigrants. I can personally definitely relate to the struggle of being caught between the culture of your parents and your family, but also because you're born and raised here, you're like in the culture of America as well, or like whatever country you're living in. But other than those conversations, there's also like a fun like romance, I guess, storyline as well with like the fake dating and everything. So I think that's why it's also a good summer read. So yeah, I didn't personally think this was like the most amazing book ever, but I still think you should read it if it sounds interesting to you. Anyway, those are all the books that I'm going to be recommending to you guys today. Let me know down below if you have any recommendations for me, as of course I would love to know. But that is it for this video. Hope you enjoyed and I'll see you next time. Bye.